With March Madness here, obviously, we got to get in touch with Reed Forgrave once again in sunny Los Angeles. Mr. Forgrave, once again, we do not have a bunch of time, so I'm going to start with the biggest upsets that could potentially happen. VCU is going up against Stephen F. Austin, who lost 2 games this year. I really do like Stephen F. Austin. They force a lot of turnovers, but VCU is the more established name, obviously. Where do you see that game going? Not to be all cookie cutter, but where do you see that game going, honestly?
I see stone cold Stephen F. Austin losing, unfortunately. They actually have a very similar style of play, the pressing defense that VCU does. But VCU just simply has more talent. I mean, no offense to the Southland Conference that Stephen F. Austin's in, but I'm not sure if that measures up to the A-10, much less the other conferences that VCU's been able to beat teams in. So I think it'll be an interesting game. It's a great matchup. You don't see 2 teams like that have that style play together at the same time. But I don't see the upset there. There's another 5-12 seed that I could look at, though.
Okay, which one is that?
Harvard.
Harvard against Cincinnati. Okay. So here's my one question about Cincinnati. Who else is going to provide not only the offense, but who's going to provide the offense, the points and whatnot, but just some intensity, and who's going to grab the headlines aside from their one-star player? I mean, Harvard is good, and they're on a winning streak, and I think they've won like 8 straight and 12 of 13 or something crazy like that. But isn't Cincinnati too tough? Aren't they too gritty? Haven't they faced better opponents than Harvard to possibly beat them?
They can't score. They have one guy who can score, one guy that scores more than 12 points a game, and Harvard has 5 guys who scored in the double figures. It feels like this is a ripe for upset type of game because Harvard shoot the ball. Harvard has the experience. They know what it's like to be an underdog and come in. Of course, since I think this feels like the most popular of the 5-12 upset picks. So usually if it's a popular upset pick, it doesn't happen. But Cincinnati, they just can't score the ball. They play great defense, but I think they are the worst shooting good team in college basketball.
Not a compliment, obviously. Mick Cronin does have a solid team, though. Here's the one thing, and like everyone has their own ingredients, and even people who don't necessarily know a ton about college basketball, me included. Obviously, there's this sort of feel of, coaching triumphs talent, and you got to have one player. But I think the biggest thing that people don't look into enough is free throw percentage. The teams like Wisconsin are always going to be there. Like Harvard is a good free throw shooting team. The free throw shooting teams, shouldn't those, aside from coaching and talent, shouldn't that be like the third key ingredient to picking a bracket?
I would actually love to see Nate Silver tackle that and go back in history and say, when you're looking at the upsets, here's where the free throw shooting percentage, how it helps determine upsets. My winner in my bracket is Arizona, and free throw shooting is their Achilles heel.
Why?
The only reason they lost to UCLA in the Pac-12 championship, they shot 6 for 16 from the free throw line.
Sure, but didn't the Seahawks prove to you, Reed, that defense wins championships?
There you go. Why would I pick Harvard then, huh?
All right, so here's another one that I have for you. And a few of these were given via HuffingtonPost.com/sports. But one other one that I have that they did not, 2 actually. NC State over St. Louis. I know that NC State lost a ton of games during the year, and they got hot at the right time last year. They could get hot at the right time this year. And T.J. Warren is a fucking stud, but I mean, St. Louis is struggling a little bit. I don't like picking teams that are on the down. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, 2 teams heading in the absolute wrong direction.
Yes.
The fact that NC State even made the tournament is, it's a miracle they went on that run. It's also a miracle that the committee gave them a spot, because I thought they were pretty solidly outside the bubble.
Did you think SMU was going to get that spot? Did you think SMU would get that spot, Reed?
Yeah. I didn't think it was a huge snub, but I thought it was a snub. It's just the message being sent by the committee is strength of schedule really, 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 really matters. Mm-hmm. There's one, St. Louis I like a lot. They play some of the best fundamental defense. Not that exciting Louisville VCU style defense, but just like in the half court, they pay attention to details. They start 5 seniors. They've really been swooning lately, but those are all close games. I tend to think come tournament time, they'll be able to close. And interesting, and I'm not going to make this pick. I would never pick a 15 seed over a 2 seed.
Let me get. Wait. Let me guess.
I'm sorry, I'm just blabbing. Come on, man.
Let me guess. Because I actually have one in my bracket. Seriously, I do. I have Milwaukee over Villanova. Is that the one you're picking?
That is not the one I'm picking.
Okay, let me hear it.
Eastern Kentucky over Kansas.
Really?
I don't think it's going to happen. And I would never put that in my bracket. But it could. If I'm looking at the most likely 15 over 12, that's one of the best shooting teams in the country in Eastern Kentucky. And Kansas, without Embiid, they're a different team. Wiggins could go out and score 45 points. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. But Tarek Black taking over for Joel Embiid he's not the same player.
Let me ask you this. George Washington, technically it would be an upset, a 9 over an 8. I always put in Josh Pastner's group because I really do like Josh Pastner. And I mean, I'm not trying to be cliche here, but they are an athletic bunch and they really like to run and they are ridiculously athletic and really, really good. But George Washington also is no slouch either. And the times that I've actually picked Memphis to go a little further and exceed expectations, they've kind of doomed me. So maybe that's part of it also. But can you see George Washington possibly making a big run and possibly beating Virginia? Like, anything's possible. But what would you give the chances of them beating Virginia?
Not very good, I don't think. I think Virginia, alongside Arizona, the two best defenses in college basketball. GW has not seen anything close to that in the A10. I know they get VCU in the A10, but it's a very different style, the havoc versus the pack line defense. Memphis, they're an interesting team. You're right. They're so athletic, so talented, but so inconsistent.
Yeah.
And they could go to the Elite Eight. They could lose by 20 in this round. Nothing would surprise me.
All right. Well, obviously, we have to wait and see for all of those. A few other upsets that I have, and I'd love to hear a few yours as well. I have, as we're talking right now, the game is going on, but I had Dayton over Ohio State. And then looking at it, I also had in one bracket Dayton going, I believe, where did I have them going? I had them beating Syracuse, who's also a struggling bunch. What do you think about Syracuse right now going forward?
What do I think about Syracuse? I think they have great defense, just like they always do. And they have Jeremy Grant back, which that's absolutely huge. A lot of their swoon had to do with him being either struggling, playing injured, or being off the court and actually injured. Don't have much depth with Syracuse. So there's not much room for error. But to me, it matters with Syracuse. Is Tyler Ennis their guy, or does CJ Fair become the alpha dog during the tournaments? I do not believe in CJ Fair at all.
I don't
think
either.
He's a volume shooter. I don't trust him when the game's in his hands. Tyler Ennis, however, I think is an absolute stud.
Yeah, Tyler Ennis is a stud, but I agree with you with CJ Fair. A little inconsistent. I'm trying to think of a guy who he reminds me of in the NBA, but you're right. The inconsistencies, whether it's the jump shot or low rebounding totals here and there, you just expect him as a core player to put up better numbers, I suppose. The inconsistency bugs me. A few of the teams that I feel like are being totally undervalued in this tournament, Reed, Gonzaga losing to Oklahoma State. Gonzaga still has a legitimate chance.
Yeah.
Oregon, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I would say that some, except for, I believe it's John Wall and I share the same thoughts that Oregon may go to the Final Four. I only filled out 2 brackets, a career low in the career of Rick Strom. I will never refer to myself in the third person ever again. But Oregon going to the Final Four could potentially happen. And UMass also going down in the first round second/third round.
Yeah.
So which team out of the ones I list, or even the one that you have, that you think is totally undervalued?
I think that's going to happen with UMass. I think they will lose in that round of 64, I guess is what we're supposed to call it, because they're playing Tennessee. And Tennessee, if we're talking undervalued teams, that is one of the most undervalued in the whole tournament. For a 11 seed, they have 12 losses, but they are a much more talented team than that. Yeah. They, if you look at the advanced statistics, people who really study the numbers put Tennessee way higher than anyone else. They call them a top 15 team in the country. I'm trying to remember the other ones that you just went over. I think UMass is going to lose to Tennessee for sure. I don't see Oregon getting past a team like Arizona. Arizona's playing really well. I know they lost to UCLA, but
and they lost
UCLA
to Oregon.
played basically the perfect game.
And they lost to Oregon.
And they lost to Oregon. Well, regular season. I think Arizona is incredibly good. That defense is best defense in college basketball this year. Oregon, they're hot. I don't hate that pick, and I think they have one of the easier regions.
I agree.
But Final Four, I just don't know if they have.
Here's my thing with Oregon, and I saw this because, look, I'm from Chicago. I love the University of Illinois. I love Indiana, my school that I wanted to go to that I couldn't get into. Thank you, Illinois. And Indiana, of course, that I had a great 4 years at. What I saw with that 2005 team with Dee Brown and Darren Williams and Roger Powell and Luther Head and James Augustine and whatnot, that team was good, but they relied on jump shooting. You need to get easy baskets. I feel like Oregon never gets them, Reed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they hugely athletic. In a way, remind me of a better coached, I doesn't mean to say to Josh Pastner, but a better, more consistent version of Memphis. Mm-hmm. I love Jonathan Lloyd. I think he's one of the more fun players to watch in college basketball this year. But, yeah, I mean, at least they have an easy draw. Sure. So if they're going to make the Final Four, I think it'll be more based on being in one of the easier regions than actually them making a solid run.
All right, here's my last question for you. Then I want to move along to your Elite Eight and Final Four picks. Iowa State, many people may not know, but certainly I do. You still live in Iowa, correct?
Yeah,
okay.
I do.
So you've seen a lot of the University of Iowa, Iowa State, but the more important team, Iowa State. I mean, do you see them really making a run to the Final Four? Can you see them really, Fred Hoiberg and that team making a strong run?
Yeah, I have them in my Elite Eight. I think that team is, first of all, one of the most fun teams to watch in all of college basketball. They do rely on the jump shot. They rely on the three, but they have so many guys who can do it. They have that three-headed monster with Melvin Ejim, DeAndre Kane, and George Niang. Those are like three legit stars. And then a point guard named Monte Morris, who's about to set the NCAA record for assist-to-turnover ratio, which is, I think, one of the most, talking about free throw percentage
that was
earlier.
Really cute. That was
assist-to-turnover ratio,
yeah.
That's an important stat in the tournament, too. You want a guy with composure. Wouldn't shock me if if that team makes the Final Four. They're a trendy pick. I see Michigan State beating them in the Elite Eight.
One other big upset pick that I feel like a lot of people have is Providence over North Carolina. Just a one-word answer. Do you have that one or no?
Nope.
Okay.